It's silver and celeste. It's silver and celeste. Let me do it a little bit longer. It's silver and celeste. It's silver and celeste. It's silver and celeste. Sleeping Beauty here slept too much last night, so she is tired.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I'm like really mellow right now.
That's a good thing.
I haven't had any supplements, nothing to help me. All I did was wake up, and this has been me. But I've been doing things. I knocked out a lot of things on my to-do list today already.
Yeah. I don't know,
Yeah.
but there we go.
So,
Yeah.
anyway, I think it has to do with the title, though.
The title.
The title that we're talking about today is Be Quiet. Like, that's the title for today.
It is.
Why do we need to be quiet? It's good to be quiet sometimes. Like, some people talk too much. Some people don't know what to say when they talk. Some people don't talk enough. And that's okay sometimes, but we all have a voice. So, yeah, depending on what setting you're in, you should talk. But then there's times, seasons, periods in your life when you should just be quiet, especially if your mouth has been getting you in trouble. Definitely be quiet. But if you're just always the talker, even when someone's talking to you and you kind of like overtake that conversation because you're talking, first of all, you're not being a good listener, but if that's what's going on, then, know when to close it. That's what Janet says in our house when I'm talking too much.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm being a nag, or I'm about to take the conversation somewhere where, maybe it's going to upset her. She'll be like, close it. And it's so funny to me. Like, I immediately close it because that's kind of like our safe word. Like, don't say it, don't go there.
Yeah, you're getting somewhere. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
So I know with my son, the teacher's always, he talks too much. And I'm like, oh my God. So every morning, every time I used to drop him off, because that was when he was in elementary school, Steve Furtick has the title of turn off your chatterbox. I was like, turn off your chatterbox.
Yeah.
Your chatterbox. I'm
Close
like,
it,
too much. And I was just reading that thing that I was trying to get some good ideas and everything. It says some people, talk to say something, and I don't know what's going on, but but some people talk because they have something to say. So there is a difference, and it's true sometimes because they want to say something because the quiet, the silence makes them nervous. It's like, why is it so quiet? Blah 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 blah. But then sometimes the 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 quietness is really really good, for everyone, for your soul, your spirit. For that's when you get your thinking cap on and all that. And sometimes being quiet, it doesn't mean because sometimes you talk so much. Sometimes you just have to quiet down your social media too. I am sorry. Let's go there. I know. Don't hate me. I apologize, but not really. What I'm saying is because when you talk too much, and it's good because social media is your best friend, especially when you're an entrepreneur and everything. But when you want things done and you want to move in silent, you also have to silence that part. Like, just because you're not doing this and then you're posting, then you're still saying something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. I'm not saying you're gonna get out of it, whatever it is. It's just like, you just do everything in I don't know what is going on, but
that's true though. With social media, with a lot of things that you're just doing too much of, you should shut it down quietly, because on social media everybody's making noise. So you may be a quiet person, but if you're reading post after post after post, you just invited all of those people you're reading about into your world, and then you get on social media and your head is like, and you're like, why? I haven't done anything all day. I haven't even opened my mouth. But
that's what it is.
Really, everybody else, they've been in your ear because that's what it is. That's what social media is for. Like, it's to make noise.
Right, it is.
If you're reading it all, it's to create a buzz. It's to, for popularity. It's for, a lot of things. I think it's for what it wasn't intended for in the beginning, and that was like college students to keep in touch with each other, and then it just lingered over into the rest of society, and now we're all just social media.
Right.
So yeah, that was a good point.
Right.
And then I was gonna say, you had said something, and it took me to my first point I wanted to actually talk about, and that was sitting with yourself. Like, you have to know how to sit with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It may be weird, it may be uncomfortable, but
What's going on?
it may be weird, may be uncomfortable, but you have to get comfortable with it being quiet. I remember, I think it was a class I took maybe on casualty assistance when I was in the military. But if you ever get assigned to a family that has lost a service member, or a veteran, or fellow prior service member, you get assigned to this family, and you have to be there with this family, be there with them like the entire process. From the time you give them that message to the time their loved one has been laid to rest properly. And so one of the things they taught us was, if you're that casualty assistant, you sit with them. Don't say anything, because if you say something, you could say the wrong thing. Like, he's probably in a better place now.
Oh, don't.
Like the worst thing to say.
Don't.
So they taught us, don't say anything unless they ask you a question. We already have rules, regulations. We know what we can, adhere to and not. We know what's prohibited or not. But I thought that was so profound. Like, you know what? That's right. And most of the time, you've lost someone. You lost someone close to you. You really just want the presence of another person.
That's it.
You don't want them talking.
That's it. Yeah.
And so you have to get comfortable, be comfortable with sitting with yourself. Like I said, especially if your mouth is getting you in trouble, or if you're just tired, or you just, you're used to going. Some people have an issue with being idle, and that's like my next point. Like when you're people that are always busy, when they're idle, they're just like, and that's me, I'm talking about myself right now. Like sometimes I don't know how to like just be still and be quiet either, because, I'm so used to, doing things for people and going places, and, so when I got out of the military, it took me about 9 months, to practice sitting with myself. It's okay if it's quiet. It's okay if I don't have anything to do today, grieve this, this exit from the military, this transition, stop trying to be busy to avoid it, sit with it, because that's why stuff come up later.
That's good. Oh my goodness.
I feel like I'm talking too much. I'm going to be quiet.
No, I was let you go, because from there, no, but it's just that. And also, especially with your own, and I'm not saying, don't get us wrong, that you don't have that someone that you talk to, whatever it is. But you mean when you just talk too much as to put, put everything out there all the time,
right.
And if you have your goal and your dream and everything like that, we don't mean you just gonna sit and just be like 24/7. You go on about your life,
Right.
but the whole world, this is getting on my nerves. The whole world doesn't need to know. Oh, at least, hey, Emily girl.
Hey.
The whole world doesn't need to know. Maybe it's not right there and then, because sometimes it's not your appointed time. You may be we were talking about, how a couple of weeks ago how to, be okay with the waiting, but then you still deal with whatever it is, and that includes, the being quiet.
Right.
It's like you still do whatever you gotta do, but you don't have to, you don't have to put it all this and that and that, because you know what, a lot of people really sometimes don't really like that either. You never know who is watching it, and they're like, oh my goodness. And even though it is good for you, and it's true, we don't know, we don't mean for people to be whatever. We cannot control none of that. However, the quietness just gives you also with the waiting, and the quietness gives you that sense of, okay, you're learning how to listen, not only to why if Celeste comes to me with an issue, whatever it may be, quiet listen, right? That's what we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, So basically is you just listen more and be
Yeah.
quiet.
Yeah.
And you
And
know,
that's the next point too.
exactly, you know,
Being a
so
good listener.
you have to so in being quiet sometimes it doesn't mean also in going out there and being quiet by your life, but also when someone reaches out to you, when they need you, when or you know, it may be your coworker or your manager, your supervisor, whatever it is, they're talking to you and you're already thinking duh, duh, duh. You know, sometimes we gotta learn how to just be quiet
Yeah.
and be like, okay, let me take this. So sometimes, you know, my mom used to say, sometimes you look way cuter when you're quiet with your mouth closed.
I know.
You know, because it is the truth, like you said. Be careful what you know. Be careful what you say, because you know we all know that words have a lot of power. You know, like that
Right.
song. You can either put on a fire, or you can, you know, put it on, or you can turn it off. It all depends which way it goes. You know, your tongue, your mouth, your words have a lot of power. You know,
Right.
and it does. And sometimes it's good to just be quiet. Sometimes you really, when it's hard to be quiet, is when you're trying to defend yourself, and that's when sometimes you really have to be quiet,
Right.
when you have to defend yourself, because it's like, you know, because you, and it's hard not to. It's hard
Yeah.
not to go on there and be like whatever, but have to be quiet. Sometimes it's just best, you know,
You
get
really
your
do.
rocking chair. Be
Yeah.
like, okay,
Because
here you go.
you'll miss something too, Ilvi, if you're always talking. Like, if you're the one always talking, you're going to miss something. You may miss something so important because you're talking. Like, sometimes, I mean, and I had to get comfortable with also being around quiet people. But quiet people are the smartest people in the world to me.
Thank you.
Because they're not missing anything. They're
Mhm.
observing, they're listening to everything because they're not saying anything. Whereas somebody like me that's always like a firecracker in most settings I'm in, I could miss something, you know, if it wasn't for my discerning spirit, because I have a gift. So yeah, I do discern things. But if it wasn't for that, I would miss things because I am a talker. But, you know, studying professional counseling for like 4 years, I learned, you know, how to be a good listener, because yeah, when someone's, you know, in your office and they're pouring out their life, their heart to you, oh, I'm sorry. You know, you will miss something very important if you're not listening. So you have to be comfortable with being quiet, sitting
You
with
do.
yourself. Be comfortable with others being quiet, you know. And because I know that, like, Jen and I are completely opposite. Like, once you get to know her, she's not as quiet as you think. But, like, for instance, when we first meet someone, I'll be like, so what did you think of them? Because I know I probably missed it being an entertainer.
Yeah. So Roxy says, do you like this? A warrior can silence themselves in order to wait for God to act.
Yes.
Amen.
Another
Yes, girl.
reason why you should be quiet. And I think that
Yes.
was like one of my last points. You will miss the voice of God, the voice of reasoning, the voice of the universe, if you're just always chit chattering. And another thing that makes me think about this topic, makes me think about, is what my mom used to say. My mom used to say, Celeste, young ladies are to be seen and not heard. You know. And so that I always remember that. It always resonates with me. And you know, sometimes I'm in situations where I'm like, young ladies are to be seen and not heard, you know. And it's true, you know. Now once you become an adult, a woman, you know, but like as a little girl, you know, you should be seen, not heard. Like, people are going to see you, they're going to notice you, you know. That's what my mom used to tell me, like, you're pretty, people are going to notice you. You don't have to do all this crazy stuff just to get attention.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I tell my nieces the same thing, like, you're so loud. Like, young ladies are supposed to be seen, not heard. Like, no, it's not time to be sassy. And it doesn't look good because you're a little girl. Wait until you're about 22 to make some noise like that, you know, when you have to.
But sometimes, you know, exactly, and I think until, regardless of whatever it is, you know, we can take that statement the wrong way. However, you know, it's a great statement, because you should be seen and on her, because sometimes when you talk too much and your actions don't align, it's like, don't look pretty. You know what I'm saying? So when you oh, I'm gonna do this and now people are like, okay, you said that like about 20 years ago, but you're still the same. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes moving in the silence is really good, you know, and everything. So just be quiet. Sometimes it's just like, you look so much prettier, classier, and be like, you know, you don't have to, you know, again, when we were talking about defending yourself, and it has to be out there, you know, all this and all that to get to your point. You know, don't, you know, because actions do speak louder than words. they do speak louder than words. So
Yeah.
when you maintain, and if you could say, oh, I'm this and all that, and what do we have? So just be, it's okay to just be quiet. It's
Right.
okay, and you just talk and you just listen to others, and then you just, and again, just make sure that when you speak, you're there to say something, or something to say better yet, something
Right.
like, okay, and let it be productive, let it be lifting. Don't be like, come to tearing people down, because that's not cute. That's when you have, you know, something to say, or say just something, because something just anything. But when you have something specific, then you're like, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you just watch what you say and how you say it, and it just lifts that person up, and yourself or others around you. And then you'll see others, and just because others don't surround you, like 24/7, don't mean anything. That's just gonna be your quiet time. That's
Yeah.
gonna be like, you know, you're just doing whatever, but at least you're there. You are available for when someone may need that. Why? Because you took your time to be quiet, and you're in your quiet time that you have decompressed and taken a lot of stuff off of you. That when someone, then you are open and you're like, wow, man, this is what I just learned, and look at this,
Right.
Because in your quietness is where you learn a lot, Which
Yeah.
for us, when we read the Bible, it's just when you pull yourself away, when you're fasting of things, because that's when you, oh my goodness, this is a lot of stuff start falling off. So let's learn how to be quiet somehow.
Right.
And if you don't like it, then practice it.
Exactly.
Let's
Practice
see.
being quiet. And that's what I was gonna say, like, I would challenge you, to think about some things you need to quiet, to silence in your life. Because sometimes it's your mouth, but like Ella said, a very good example was, it may be social media, it may be a friend. Like, you know what, I can't give you too much time. And like, I've had to do that, in the past with
Suck
friends.
the living
Like,
out of you.
5 minutes is all you're gonna get today, because I can't. Like, I'm gonna, silence you. Like, what is it that you need to silence? To keep you looking forward, to keep you growing, to keep you in a happy place, happy space. Um, you have to do that sometimes.
Yeah.
I silence my phone. It's on silence right now. Actually, I put it on do not disturb.
Yeah.
Like, periodically, different times throughout
It's
the day.
true. It's
I'll
true.
call you back, or text you, but you
Mhm.
have to have time where it's just you. Like, everybody don't need access to you like
Mhm.
that
It's
all
true.
the time. My partner and I, we are like very much in love. We've been together a very long time, but even still, like, we silence each other too. It's like, oh, it's me time. Like,
Yes.
and we respect that.
Mhm.
Do I like it sometimes? I'm like, no, because it's my time.
Uh-huh.
But I have to respect that.
Yeah.
And she respects my space too. So.
Mhm. No, it's true. A lot happens when you are quiet, when yeah, you're moving around, you're going to work, you know, you're dealing with the spouses, the children, or whatever it is. So just think about it. If your kid all the time around you is like "Da-da-da," and jumping around, "Da-da-da," sometimes you're like, can you just be quiet a second? Just think about that. Sometimes we
Yeah.
can be like that with adults. Just because we're not 5 or 10 any longer, it doesn't mean that we still don't act like that or talk like that.
Yeah.
And people are looking at you like, oh my goodness, can this person just be like for a second?
Close it.
And sometimes your friend or whomever's talking to you, or you talking to, don't even let you say a word. You're like, because they're like, and you're like, oh. And sometimes when they call, you're like, oh my goodness, do I have like 20 seconds or 20 years to sit here and listen? And sometimes you do, because you want to know what they have to say and everything.
Yeah.
That's a good friend. But sometimes when you're on that quietness, you're like, okay, hold on, not today.
Yeah.
Or not right now. And then, because again, like you said, you silence your phone or you silence whatever it may be, and you're like, okay, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
So I think quietness is really good.
Be quiet.
Silence.
Close it.
Yeah.
Don't say nothing.
For one's sake,
Shut up.
what do you need from me? For once, maybe you're that kind of person that for once say, yeah, let's talk. I'll be quiet. Go.
Yeah.
I'm all yours.
Yeah.
And just listen.
Right. Cause also too, maybe you can help them better if you
Exactly.
be quiet. That's why I say, like, being a good listener, so you don't miss anything. So I had to take a course too earlier this year. Was it this year? I can't remember. I don't know. It was for meditation. But anyway, that was one of the assignments. We had to listen for 4 minutes. Listen to a person talk. And you had to repeat back everything they said. Like, you couldn't say anything. You couldn't even make a facial expression. Like, all you could do was listen to this person as they share this 4 minute story. And then you're supposed to repeat back at the end of the exercise everything they said. You know, and it was testing your listening skills, you know, because you were quiet. I thought that was amazing. But, I mean, did I like it the first 30 seconds? It was weird because what do you mean I can't make a facial expression? Because if you're making a facial expression, you're still communicating, so you could miss something because now you caught up in your emotions. Like, it was weird, but be quiet. That's it. I'm done.
That's something I'm learning too. Like, you know, it's like, so I'm like, okay, hold up. You know, so it's like we can't, and we say it is definitely a good practice. It is. So let's just practice that, and you know that also. I'm gonna say this again, just for y'all. This is practice for us as well. You know, so you know, like always, we always bring you something that we're dealing with. We talk about. We're like, okay, I think this is pretty good. So all right.
Okay.
Now we are going to be quiet.
Yep, we're going to be quiet, but we're going to invite you to come out to Cup of Joe tomorrow.
Hold on. There we go.
If you're in tomorrow, come to Cup of Joe tomorrow, Harker Heights at 6 p.m. That's what Events Celeste are going to be. If you want a photo with your favorite personalities.
Yeah, she's about to leave me on Saturday already.
I know, it's my last Thursday on the red couch until later this year.
Shame on her. So,
okay.
All right. We out of here. Bye. Bye.